Welcome to Alternative Egypt, the channel that gives a voice to the myths and legends of our ancient ancestors. We appreciate you leaving a comment on our videos, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more alternative views on our ancient past.
For hundreds of years, the world has believed that the granite box within the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid was made to hold the body of the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Khufu. It has become one of archaeology's unquestioned assumptions, a stone sarcophagus for a dead king. However, assumptions are not evidence, because after centuries of exploration, one uncomfortable question refuses to disappear. Where is the evidence that this granite box ever held a human body? No mummy was ever found. No fragments of bone. No funerary equipment. No traces of a wooden coffin. No inscriptions on the stone box identifying its owner. Nothing. Could it be that we have misunderstood one of history's greatest monuments from the very beginning? Perhaps the granite box inside the Great Pyramid was never intended as a sarcophagus for human burial at all. Nearly 3 meters long, carved from a single block of Aswan granite, transported hundreds of kilometers across Egypt. It was set in place before the chamber itself was completed, since today the box is simply too large to fit through the passages leading to it. Whatever its purpose, it clearly was never an afterthought. It was part of the original design. Egyptologists therefore conclude that this granite box simply must have been the sarcophagus of Khufu. It seems perfectly reasonable, until we look more closely. As we have already learned, nothing survives from the supposed burial chamber that can be directly and unequivocally connected to the burial of Khufu. If this was truly the burial place of Egypt's greatest pyramid builder, where is he? The accepted explanation is that ancient robbers removed everything thousands of years ago. Perhaps they did. Ancient tomb robbery was certainly widespread, and the Great Pyramid had been entered long before modern archaeologists ever arrived. But even if every precious object had been stolen, one question remains. What evidence positively identifies this granite box as a human coffin? The answer may not be as straightforward as many assume. Just to the southwest of the Great Pyramid stands another 4th dynasty pyramid, the Pyramid of Khafre. Like the Great Pyramid, it also contains a massive granite box, set in place during construction. However, unlike the stone box in the Great Pyramid, the granite box in Khafre's pyramid is embedded into the very architecture of the pyramid itself, set into the floor and surrounded by immense floor blocks. This would ensure the box could never be tipped over and smashed open from the resulting impact. Yet what investigators discovered here in 1818 was altogether unexpected. The Italian pyramid explorer Giovanni Belzoni found the granite box partially open. Its lid had been broken at the side. But inside, there was no mummy. Instead, Belzoni found something altogether stranger. The interior of the granite box had been filled with earth. Mixed within that earth were some bones. Not human bones, bull bones. That discovery has remained one of the least discussed mysteries of the Giza pyramids. The facts themselves are not disputed. Belzoni found earth inside the granite box. He found bovine bones. The bones were later identified by the Royal College of Surgeons in London as belonging to a bull rather than a human. What is disputed is what these discoveries actually mean. The conventional explanation is that the pyramid was robbed in antiquity, and that the earth and bones somehow entered the granite box during a later intrusion. Perhaps. But there is no direct evidence of this, or when, or why. The explanation is an inference, not an observation, and those are two very different things. What is not so well known is that the ancient Egyptians had at least 4 different words that referred to a large stone box. These were Kwarsa, Debat, Neb-Ankh, and Derwat. 4 different names may also suggest 4 different functions, and perhaps not all of them for human burial. Now imagine, for a moment, that the granite box within these giant monuments at Giza was never intended to hold a human body. Imagine instead that it was designed to hold earth. To the ancient Egyptians, earth was not merely soil, it was life itself. Each year the Nile flooded the land, leaving behind a rich layer of black silt from which new life would emerge. Creation itself began with earth. The primeval mound, the first land, said to have risen in ancient Egyptian mythology from the dark waters of chaos. Could it be that the earth Belzoni found within the granite box of Pyramid G2 was, in fact, the original sacred mound itself, placed there by the ancient Egyptian priests to symbolize the earth rising from chaos and to help bring about the rebirth of the earth itself after a foretold catastrophe would lay it waste? If that sounds extraordinary, consider what later Egyptian religion reveals. More than 1,000 years after the Great Pyramid was built, Egyptians celebrated the mysterious Osirian festival of Khoyak. Central to the ceremony were remarkable objects, now known as Osiris beds or Osiris bricks, small stone or wooden containers, filled with earth, planted with grain, a symbol of Osiris, as was the bull, buried beneath the ground, and covered with a rock, representing the pyramid or primeval mound. As the grain germinated, new life emerged from the darkness. It was one of Egypt's most powerful symbols of resurrection, a rebirth of the earth itself through the agency of Osiris. Most scholars regard this as a much later development in Egyptian religious thought. But another possibility exists. What if the ritual did not invent the symbolism, but instead inherited it? What if these later miniature earth-filled boxes were preserving the memory of something far older? Could the granite box inside Khafre's pyramid represent the monumental prototype from which the later ritual evolved? The archetype, the original primeval mound from which all creation arose. No one can yet answer that question, but the resemblance is undeniably striking. For generations, we have looked inside the Great Pyramid, searching for a king. Perhaps we have been searching for the wrong thing. Perhaps the granite box was never intended to preserve death, but to assist in the generation of birth or rebirth. Not a coffin, not a tomb of death, but the womb of rebirth. Simple earth, the primeval mound from which all creation would emerge. Viewed through the lens of the Giza pyramids as part of a vast recovery system, built in anticipation of a civilization-ending natural catastrophe, as we have shown in our other documentaries, this hypothesis suddenly begins to make remarkable sense, and perhaps the granite box in these monuments has been misunderstood for thousands of years.
This video presentation is based on the research of independent author and researcher Scott Crichton. His books are available on Amazon.com and from all good bookstores.